Hello and welcome to Queen Things. This is your December bonus episode. I am your host, KJ Miller, and I'm ready to get into it. So let's just do it. A few housekeeping things before we get into the meat of the episode. First of all, if you're hearing this and you aren't subscribed, it's because I decided to release a teaser. Lucky you. I'm doing it to try and entice you to subscribe, become a subscriber so you get the bonus episodes. You can do that on Patreon, or you can do it on Apple, or you can do it by subscribing to the Queen Things Substack. It used to be called KJ Off the Clock. If you Google KJ Off the Clock Substack, I'm pretty sure it'll still take you there, but I have changed the name to Queen Things to match the podcast. So lots of ways to get bonus episodes. So if you're hearing this and you aren't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Another housekeeping thing, I have decided when we will come back for season 4. I never decide when I'm ending the prior season. Like, that's not when I make the decision, because at that point I'm tired. And all I know at that point is I need to relax. Then I take some time off and then I'm like, okay, when should I come back? When should I come back? I've decided I'm going to come back January 1st. Hello, Happy New Year. That is my gift to you. The podcast will come back on New Year's Day. Now, is there part of me that thinks that's silly? No one's going to listen to a podcast that you publish on New Year's Day. Yeah, there's a part of me that thinks that. I know a number of you will be hungover, but I think a lot of you will like still get it listened to during your normal course of the week. Not everyone listens on Thursday. People work it in during the course of the week. And I think you will New Year's week too, because first of all, I'm 39. I'm guessing a number of my listeners are also of that age. I should really do a survey, find out more about y'all. I'm going to do that in 2026. Anyway, I'm guessing a number of you are also grown, which means you might have a slight hangover on New Year's, or you might wake up as usual, sometime between 6 and 7 with your kids and go on about your business. So I'm just going to trust and believe that people will still listen to the season premiere, even if it does come out on the 1st. And that just is what makes sense for me and my schedule and what I have going on in my life. So hopefully that is good news to you. January 1st, Happy New Year. Queen Things is back. So that is another announcement I wanted to make. And then finally, I guess it's not an announcement, but let's just talk about what we're going to be talking about in this episode so y'all know what you're getting yourselves into. First and foremost, I want to talk about Charlie XCX's most recent, not most recent, but a recent article on her Substack, The Realities of Being a Pop Star. And the reason I want to talk about this is because it was brought to my attention by a recent Swiftologist video. Hold on. The title of his video was, I just listened to it last night. Actually, I think he just released it last night. Hold on. Why Pop Doesn't Make Icons Anymore. Yes, he just released this last night. I'm recording this on Monday, December 8th. He released this on Sunday, December 7th. I immediately watched it because I was intrigued by that title. I think it's a great video, actually. And in the video, he continually references this article from Charlie XCX on Substack. Now, first of all, I didn't even know Charlie had a Substack. So that was news to me. Second of all, I'm not a Charlie XCX fan, so I don't even know how this really would have made its way to me if not for this video from Swiftologist. But she makes a number of interesting points, and the one that he focuses on is actually all the way at the end of the article. And she has this thought about how right now there's an expectation that being a pop star means you're entirely truthful all of the time. And she's basically saying, like, I think that is going to be the downfall of pop stars. Like, if you expect us to always be telling you the truth. And the Swiftologist largely seems to agree with her. So anyway, we'll get into it, but I thought his take was very, very interesting. I think her take is very, very interesting. And now I would like to give you my take. So we'll get into that. After that, I want to jump in and talk a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit, because it is related to the Taylor and Trump of it all, him using her music, her not saying anything. Now we've got Sabrina saying something. So that has brought Taylor back into the conversation. I have largely avoided this conversation, but I kind of waded into it by responding to one of my mutuals' TikToks. And because I responded, now people are responding to me. And we'll touch on it. Okay, fine. We'll touch on it. Then I want to talk about Jaclyn Hill. Do y'all remember Jaclyn Hill? She big influencer. She still is, but she was very big in the 20 teens, like that 2015 to 2018 time period. I bought her makeup palette. Did I buy it? It's possible my husband bought it for me, actually. That may have been a gift because I've been talking about it. And I think the first time I tried to buy it, it sold out. So when it came back in stock, I think he may have purchased it for me. Point is, big makeup influencer. She's kind of in hot water for a take on TikTok recently about how her content isn't being shown to her followers. And people kind of took that and ran with it. And I just want to chime in a little bit because, it's my industry. Beauty is my industry. And also because I was a fan of hers for a long time. Turns out she's a Republican. So I can't call myself a fan anymore, but I do still have thoughts. And then if there's time, I saw a post about DEI resulting in fewer white men applying to college, which I thought was very interesting. The thing is, I haven't fact checked it, and I'm not going to have time in the course of this episode to fact check it. So we might get into it, we might not. Then we're going to end with some Black news. There's some fun stuff going on in the Black community that I want to talk about. That's what we're going to get into. And so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so starting with this Charlie XCX article, as I said, the title of the article is The Realities of Being a Pop Star. She talks about a whole lot of stuff in this article, but I, like the Swiftologist, am going to focus on this end paragraph, okay? She says, my final thought on being a pop star is that there is a level of expectation for you to be entirely truthful all the time. Over recent years, some people seem to have developed a connection between fame and moral responsibility that I've never really understood. All my favorite artists are absolutely not role models, nor would I want them to be. But maybe that's just me. I want hedonism, danger, and a sense of anti-establishment to come along with my artists because when I was younger, I wanted to escape through them. I don't care if they tell the truth or lie or play a character or adopt a persona or fabricate entire scenarios and worlds. To me, that's the point. That's the drama. That's the fun. That's the fantasy. Okay. And so I would encourage you to watch the Swiftologist's video because he speaks at length, not just about this specific paragraph, but kind of the broader idea that right now there is this push with pop musicians. And he does say we can thank, in a lot of ways, thank Taylor for this because she kind of really kicked it off to be hyper relatable. And in order to be hyper relatable, you've got to show the whole totality truth of who you are. And because that is the focus, we don't get the fun and the escapism and the fantasy and the outlandishness and Lady Gaga in a meat dress and these things, these like crazy pop moments. We don't get them anymore because there's so much focus on being relatable, building community. You know me, you and I are, we're friends, we're parasocial, whatever the whole thing. Watch his take. I'm not doing it justice. I do think it was very well laid out, but it did make me think, first of all, the artist that he talks about like Addison Rae a bit, Tate McRae, a couple other folks. Those aren't necessarily the artists I care about. The artists that came to mind for me immediately was Lizzo, because Lizzo, and I've spoken about her before on this show. If you're not aware, Lizzo months ago launched a TikTok where it's just like essentially you have to follow her in order to see her content, and she only lets a certain number of people in from time to time. I was lucky enough to get in. I'm in. It's called Lizzo IRL. I'm in it. Okay. And if you're not in it, I can't guarantee you ever will be. I don't know. One day she opened it up and I went and I requested to be able to follow her and she approved me. Okay. But I think about her because not only is she very much leaning into the, Lizzo IRL are my people who know me, like who really know me for real. You know me down bad, you know me. And so this is where I can really bare my soul. She also has recently started a Substack where she is again bearing her soul. She wrote an article about losing weight and how much of a shame it is in some ways that the world is so focused on making everyone lose weight, but also talking about how odd it is for her to even be talking about it because she has lost a lot of weight, so on and so forth. You can go and read it. But I have felt like recently with Lizzo, there has sort of been almost this pivot to, and she's spoken about it, wanting to be closer to her fans in some ways, because building that depth with her fans is how she's going to be able to continue to grow in the music industry and do what it is she loves to do. Because breadth doesn't really exist anymore. Like, even the biggest pop stars, Ed Sheeran's album didn't even make top 5, I don't think. Like, big pop stars are having trouble with sort of mass marketing. And so her point was, fuck the mass marketing. I'm not going to go broad. I'm going to go deep. In order to go deep, I'm going to have these more personal connections. So she is the person I immediately thought of when I was listening to the Swiftologist video about how there is this sort of like push to be hyper relatable. And I do feel like I see that with Lizzo. Now, his take, and I think in some ways Charlie XCX's take, is that's not a good thing. We should not be looking to our pop stars to be hyper relatable, to be hyper truthful, to be sort of like the moral epitome of good. We shouldn't be relying on them for any of that. We should be looking to them for entertainment, for drama, for fun. That's what we should be looking to them for. And you know what? I have to say, and I really, I don't like straddling the fence. I do not like straddling the fence. That's actually something I push my students on a lot in my classrooms when they're like, well, we could do this and that. No, pick a side. Okay. So I am team pick a side. But on this particular issue, I fear I am going to have to sort of straddle the fence, because I will say, in this day and age that we live in, if I have no idea where you stand morally, that is a red flag. I do believe I should have some sense of where you stand morally. Like, the stakes are entirely too high for me to be like, oh, but your music is good. So who cares if you want to rip screaming children out of their mother's arms while they are deported illegally? Who cares, because this song has a tight beat. No. Sorry. That's just not going to work for me, right? So I do need to know where you stand morally. And so that does mean you need to bear a little bit of your actual self. It can't all just be a performance for me. I'm not talking about for anybody else. I'm talking about for me, right? Like, there does need to be that. That said, do I agree with the idea that it is very much possible to be so focused on relatability that you lose the edge of performance? Yes, I do think that that is possible. And I, because I'm not a pop star, I don't know exactly how you tread that line, but someone who I think does it very well is Beyonce. Someone who I think does it extremely well is Beyonce. I feel like Beyonce gives us so much in her music that you do feel like you know her. You know what she stands for, what she stands against. From a moral perspective, I do feel like you get that from her. Absolutely. But I also feel like there is a lot of Beyonce we don't get, we don't see, we don't know, and we won't know. She is notoriously private. She is not someone who is going to invite you to her house and bake you cookies, a la Taylor Swift. She's just, as far as I know, she's not going to invite anybody anywhere. So she's notoriously private, and I feel like there is kind of this wall, and I feel like her music gives us the version of herself she wants us to know at any given moment. And gives us no more than that. And so she is someone who I think rides this line very well, but I do think you have to sort of straddle that line. I don't think you get to just say, I'm a pop star, this is a performance, so don't worry about whether or not I'm a good person. Don't worry about how I voted. Don't worry about, whether or not I'm a sexual deviant, a la Diddy. No, I'm going to worry about it. I'm going to worry about it a little bit. I don't want to listen to Diddy because I know he's a terrible person who has sexually assaulted more people than we have time to count on this little show. Okay. So yeah, I'm good on him. I don't like, his music isn't so good that like I need to overlook that. Now that's just me. Same for like a R. Kelly, same for a Chris Brown. Let me name some people who aren't black men because I don't want y'all to think only black men out here are terrible. Same for a Morgan Wallen. You want to be racist and say dumb shit? The music ain't that good. I mean, frankly, it's not good at all to me. I know it's good to some of you. Okay. No, I'm all right. I'm all right. So I disagree with the notion that we should be putting all of that sort of in its own box, and we shouldn't be looking to our pop stars for any moral high ground whatsoever, any moral clarity whatsoever, any moral transparency whatsoever. I don't agree with that. I think that's just kind of table stakes for me. I'm not saying that you need to uh your platform needs to be so clean and so pure and so ethical. No, I'm allowed to have some problematic faves. We might put Taylor we might put Taylor in that box. Fine, like Beyonce too. I mean, you can't be a billionaire without being at least a little bit problematic. So I'm not saying you have to pass some extreme moral exam. I'm just saying for me, I do need to know a little bit about where you stand. And for Charlie XCX, I'm not a fan of hers. I don't dislike her. I don't know that much about her, but like if that's how she feels, God bless it. And if that's how her fans feel, God bless it. For me, myself, I do agree there is a world where you focus too much on always telling the truth, too much on being relatable to the point where it burdens you and your music doesn't get to feel escapist at all. I absolutely think that can happen, but I don't think we need to swing the pendulum so far that we know nothing about a person at all and nothing about where they stand morally at all. That's just my take, which brings me to the conversation about Taylor and Trump.